Getting back into it. Gotta press record. I just realized we're almost halfway through with summer, and while I should be totally stoked about this, seeing as we're melting through our 4th heat wave. Good start, strong. Seeing as though we're melting through our 4th heat wave so far this summer in NYC, and given what awesome things are in store for the fall, and given what awesome things there are in store... Who says NYC? And given what awesome things are in store for the fall, I am spectacularly bummed, as I am just getting used to having an avalanche of delicious summer produce at my disposal, and haven't had time to do half of what I wanted to do with it yet. Plus, this guy turns 3 at the end of the summer, and I won't accept it. More time, please, for everything. I missed you last week, a crazy week that did not entail, as hinted, a vacation. Hey, good to see you again, man. I missed you last week, a crazy week that did not entail, as hinted, a vacation, but there heard it all before, so I'll spare you tune. I missed you last week, a crazy week that did not entail, as hinted, a vacation, but thee heard it all before, so I'll spare you the tune about too much to do and too little time. I've been cooking more this month than my absence let on. Just not a lot of things that seemed worth stepping up to in... A bit bloody warm. Just ate a yummy pie that Christelle got for Australia Day yesterday. Ugh. I've been cooking more this month than my absence let on. Just not a lot of things that seemed worth stepping up to this internet microphone to clear my throat and tell you about. Things like oatmeal strawberry cookies, which is utterly delicious, but only for the first hour, and after which they became chewy and sad. And a spectacular amount of broccoli slaw, which 5 batches already this summer create a record. A summery salsa fresca with the first cherry tomatoes to go with our huevos rancheros. Better look that up. Huevos rancheros. I looked this up yesterday, I think, but I can't remember. Huevos. No hue, just hue.
Huevos rancheros.
Ugh. Huevos rancheros. A summery salsa fresco. A summery salsa fresca with the first cherry tomatoes to go with our huevos rancheros. Whatever. And a streamlined... Huevos. I gave it a little bit of H. And a streamlined version of this summer's squash tort we can't get enough of. There are new notes in the recipe, but I'd like to reshoot it and add more details soon, too. I made heart-shaped... Oh, I forgot to close this. Which means I need to start from the top. This is a pain in the asshole, yeah? Okay, from the top. That background noise is unacceptable for this job. Okay. I just realized we're almost halfway through with summer, and while I should be totally stoked about this, seeing as we're melting through our 4th heat wave so far this summer in NYC, and given what awesome things are in store for fall, I am spectacularly bummed, as I'm just getting used to having an avalanche of delicious summer produce at my disposal, and haven't had time to do half of what I wanted to do with it yet. Plus, this guy turns 3 at the end of summer, and I won't accept it. More time, please, for everything. I missed you last week, a crazy week that did not entail, as hinted, a vacation, but thee heard it all before, so I'll spare you tune about too much to do and too little time. I've been cooking I've been cooking more this month than my absence let on, just not a lot of things that seemed worth stepping up to this internet microphone to clear my throat and tell you about. Things like oatmeal strawberry cookies, which is utterly delicious, but only for the first hour, and after which they became chewy and sad. And a spectacular amount of broccoli slaw, which 5 batches already this summer create a record. A summery salsa fresca with the first cherry tomatoes to go with our huevos rancheros, and a streamlined version of this summer squash tort we can't get enough of. There are new notes in the recipe, but I'd like to reshoot it and add more details soon, too. I made heart-shaped, tiny whole wheat cherry chocolate chunk scones, closet cherry Garcia fiend. Here for our friend's daughter's second birthday party, I've been fiddling around with various baked chicken tender recipes for times when you crave baked chicken tender recipes for... No, what a stupid sentence. I made heart-shaped, tiny whole wheat cherry chocolate chunk scones, closet cherry Garcia fiend, here for a friend's daughter's second birthday party. And I've been fiddling around with various baked chicken tender recipes for times when you crave crunchy chicken but have little desire to deep or shallow fry anything. Looking for a winner. I'm currently in a swarm of many behind-the-scenes things that I genuinely couldn't be happier about, even if it would also be okay if they didn't all fall in the next few weeks. Okay, I'm currently in a swarm of many behind-the-scenes things that I am genuinely... See, these are all transcripts of sort of rambling stream of consciousness YouTube videos, I think. Doesn't get transcribed very well. I'm currently in a swarm of many behind-the-scenes things that I genuinely couldn't be happier about, even if it would also be okay if they didn't all fall in the next few weeks. The deadline on the next cookbook, the launch at last, so overdue, hooray, site redesign, hopefully very cool new project or two, the first birthday of this feisty love, all of the end-of-year chaos that comes with a school-aged kid that if there were a textbook definition of bad times to take... needs punctuation. The deadline on the next cookbook, the launch at last, so overdue, hooray, site redesign, a hopefully very cool new project or two, the first birthday of this feisty love, all of the end-of-year chaos that comes with a school-aged kid that, if there were a textbook definition of bad times to take a vacation, my June might be under it. Thank goodness I'm not married to anyone burdened by such trivialities. Thus, last weekend when he surprised me with a birthday weekend away in Mexico City, a place I've been telling him I wanted to go for the better part of a decade, but briefly expressed concern that this wasn't the best time to get away, I was like, shut up, which airport? I already called an Uber. The more dramatic the mess, the more dramatic the escape hatch required, right? And so I shifted focus to the kind of simple dinner I'd love to eat before or after Friday's candy deluge, a seasonal, cozy, and hearty entry into one of my favorite food categories that meals masquerade masquerading as toasts. Don't be deceived by the name, these are no simple Juan Crostini. A winter squash of your choice. Is roasted in the oven, while on the stove you cook an onion with cider vinegar and maple syrup until it's soft and jammy. You use a fork to half mash this tangy confit together with the roasted squash, a pilot on bread you've toasted in olive oil and spread with ricotta or soft goat cheese. Don't forget the mint on top. It makes something already good unquestionably perfect. It makes something already good unquestionably perfect. I realize I'm about the last person on the internet to discover this famous recipe from Jean-Georges Vongerichten. Yeah, right. I know what that is. I know exactly how to say it.
Distinction. Those whose first name is all you need to know. And Jean-Georges Vongerichten is surely...
Jean-Georges Vongerichten. Jean-Georges Vongerichten. Chten. I realize I'm about the last person on the internet to discover this famous recipe from Jean-Georges Vongerichten. From Jean-Georges Vongerichten. It's served at the amazing ABC Kitchen, but when I'm there, I've always been too busy. Gobbling up the veggie burger, mushroom and egg pizza, or roasted carrot and avocado salad, while pining over the dishes and chandeliers to order it. I will be making up for lost time henceforth, as this recipe perfectly embodies everything great that can happen when a famous chef pays serious attention to vegetables. If you have in your family someone like my husband who is distrusting of both goat cheese and vegetables cooked with any sweet ingredients, or someone like my son who we had to tell this was sweet potato to get him to eat it, you will be pleasantly surprised at how crowd-pleasing these tart You'll be pleasantly surprised at how crowd-pleasing those tart onions weaving through the sweet squash are, and how filling of a meal it makes. We had it with a kale Caesar salad, and I use a riff on this dressing and ribbons of lacinato leaves.
Lacinato kale.
Lacinato
kale.
Damn it, boat. It's a big-ass police boat that comes by maybe 4 times a day. I don't know if you can hear that. Russian-pleasing pickled garlicky red peppers. I'll just put that there. How cool is this thing? I love this thing. CMY cube. Only 3 colors. 2 sides cyan, 2 sides, is it yellow, 2 sides magenta. And then when you mix them up, you get all the other ones. Yeah. The po-po still want to search me for drugs. Yeah, the other day, man. Doing their routine, you know, 'cause we were drinking at, what was it, 2 a.m. or later or something. Got our identity cards and checked us, and he's like, "Can I check you? Can I search you?" I'm like, "Why? For drugs?" I'm like, "No, no." What? And he backed off, like, didn't even ask twice. Worth a try, I guess. I can still kind of hear it. Yeah, it's still there. I don't need drugs, man. I just need my CMY cube. 4 out, daddy-o. All right, I think we're safe. Whoops. I use a riff on this dressing and ribbons of lecanado leaves. We had it with a kale Caesar salad, and I use a riff on this dressing and forgotten already. It's lacinato. Yeah. We had it with a kale Caesar salad, and I use a riff on this dressing and ribbons of lacinato leaves, some Russian-pleasing pickled garlicky red peppers, and sliced cucumbers, and there's enough left over for it to be our lunch today, and look at that. It must be lunchtime already. Psst. There's a newer, less fussy, and more focused version of this recipe over here. I'm firmly of the belief that no matter what ails you in the realm of the kitchen, onion soup can cure it. Never cooked before? Don't think you'll be able to pull off the kind of cooking you believe you need to go to a restaurant to experience? Don't believe you'll be able to pull off the kind of cooking you believe you need to go to a restaurant to experience? Start with onion soup. Have only $5 to spend on dinner? Refrigerator is almost bare? Onion soup is your friend. Want your home to have a transcendent aroma bouncing off every wall? The kind that's so distracting that you don't even know or care what's on the stove, only that you must have it now? Onion soup is waiting for you. I realize it was unfair to even make a passing reference to weepingly delicious onion soup the other day without refreshing it here. I talked up once in 2006. I talked up once in 2006, a lifetime ago, or several if you're this guy, but it was a very literal recipe from mastering the art of French cooking, which benefits from some streamlining. And yet, not too much. Onion soup is a remarkably simple thing to make, but when simplified too liberally, I've seen recipes that instructed you to just caramelize onions for a bit, add stock, cheese, etc. The nuance that raises it to the transcendent level that I've known it to be gets lost. Julia Child's original version, with the very long caramelization of onions that I beg you not to skimp on, because this all the work there really is. This is all the work there really is. The slip of raw grated onion, the cheese within and on top of the soup, and starting the croutons toasted hard. The cheese within and on top of the soup, and starting the croutons toasted hard so they don't fall apart in the soup, raises the soup beyond the everyday. Keep jiggling around in my chair. Raises the soup beyond the everyday without making it too difficult to whip up almost every day, which I promise will happen when you realize the staggering gap between effort and outcome that Child's onion soup manages to bridge. Education. You may argue, I know my odds are low, but someone has to win. You're right. Someone does have to win. That someone is not you. Someone also has to be Napoleon. That someone is not you. Someone was also strangled to death by her own scarf. Neighbors performing some pagan ritual by the sounds of things. You may argue, I know my odds are low, but someone has to win. You're right. Someone does have to win. That someone is not you. Someone also has to be Napoleon. That someone is not you. Someone was also strangled to death by her own scarf while riding go-karts. That someone is not you. You will not be strangled by your own scarf. I gotta keep jiggling. Stop jiggling. You will not be strangled by your own scarf. You have no need to fear scarves. Someone was pushed into a grinding machine by a robot. That someone is not you. Fantasizing about how wonderful it would be to win the lottery will not make that one person you any quicker than it will turn you into Napoleon. Why do people keep playing the lottery when they consistently lose and the odds are so against them? The answer may be dopamine. Dopamine is a natural neurotransmitter that regulates reward-driven behavior. Getting a bit scratchy. It's not good. This shit's got to be consistent. For the program will reject me. The answer may be dopamine. Dopamine is a natural neurotransmitter that regulates reward-driven behavior. Rewarding behaviors such as eating and finishing a task raise levels of dopamine. Stimulating drugs such as cocaine and nicotine are believed to have such a powerful effect because they unnaturally trigger high levels of dopamine. The amazing thing about the dopamine response is that dopamine increases before the reward is actually obtained. Simply expecting a reward is enough to trigger higher dopamine. It is not the winning, but the expectation of winning that gives gamblers a drug-like high and keeps them coming back for more. Oh no. That's a sign that warm weather's coming. There's a kite bird. Pretty sure it's a kite. Man, that means the coldest part of winter is like long gone. I thought it's usually February. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right. I'm going to go back because I could hear it a couple of times when I was reading. I'm going to go all the way back. God damn. Stimulating drugs. Oh, fuck me. It's starting again. Oh, my God. That's not good. I should buy a BB gun. Okay, break time. That shit ain't shutting up. A drug-like high and keeps them coming back for more. For more. Oh no. Oh no. Just gonna plow ahead. Gambling is addictive in the same way that cocaine is addictive. Many of the problems that are discussed in the political sphere are not problems at all in the scientific sense. They are simply a clash of human wants. One large faction wants one thing and the other faction wants something else. No one is really right in the scientific sense in such cases. Although fervent partisans are usually convinced they are always right and their opponents are always wrong. For instance, it is better to let the free market run a nation's healthcare system, or should the government take over? Is it? For instance, is it better to let the free market run a nation's healthcare system, or should the government take over? The answer to this question depends on how you define better, which depends entirely on what you want. To people that want freedom above all else, better will mean letting the free market provide health care. I just realized there's no chat here. There we go. Let's make it a bit bigger. To humans that want a uniform system that won't let people fall through the cracks, better may mean centralized medicine. The point is that neither side of the debate is better in a scientific sense, so science can never solve the problem. Science can save more lives through medical breakthroughs and can even streamline the healthcare bureaucracy, but it can't, I keep making noise. It can't find out if government-run or market-run healthcare is better because better is so subjective. The same situation exists for many problems debated in the political sphere. For this reason, scientists do not make good political leaders. The role of political leaders is to ascertain and carry out the wants of the people, which science is fundamentally not equipped to do. It's interesting take, isn't it? To decrease the body temperature of a 61 kilogram person by 1.0 degrees Celsius, what mass of alcohol must be evaporated from the person's skin? I've always wanted to know that. Ignore the heat involved in raising the temperature of alcohol to its boiling point and approximate the human body. As water. Evaporation. Perspiration is the natural cooling mechanism of some organisms, such as humans. The water present in the sweat absorbs heat to change phase, that is, to evaporate. In this way, the body loses heat and therefore cools down. EQ/EQ is the heat flow. EQC/EQ is the specific heat. EQT/EQ is the temperature. EQM/EQ is the mass. EQL-V/EQ is the latent heat of vaporization. Subscript A denotes alcohol and B denote body. If we assume that all the heat that the body must give up is absorbed by the alcohol, then the heat transfer with the environment is zero. That was unpleasant to read. What is the importance of chemistry in everyday life? Sounded a bit Aussie there, didn't I? What is the importance of chemistry in everyday life? Chemistry is a specific field of science that explains the phenomena of matter. It says Matt, M-A-T-T-A. These scripts, man. It includes compounds that range from organic compounds to inorganic compounds. The field of chemistry also tries to explain the properties of compounds. Their structure, and the reactions they can perform. There are different applications in the field of chemistry that can translate into impacts in our daily lives. One of the major contributions of chemistry is in the field of medicine. Concepts of chemistry are used to explain the biological reactions and processes that occur in the body. This helps us understand how a small molecule can affect the different biological pathways in the body. Knowledge of chemistry is of great importance in understanding how a drug can function and be effective against certain diseases and disorders. With the knowledge of chemistry, we can synthesize drugs and make them effective by understanding the mechanism and the reactions involved. Chemistry also helps us know which vitamins and minerals are essential and important for the body. EQ2C2H2 plus 5O2 right arrow 4CO2 plus 2H2O/EQ. What is the mass of EQ/CO2/EQ that is produced if 20.0 grams of oxygen are allowed to react? Acetylene is the simplest alkaline, meaning it is a hydrocarbon with at least one carbon-to-carbon triple bond. The systematic name for this molecule is ethyne. Is it supposed to be ethanol? Ethyne? Never heard that before.
Ethyne.
Would they say ethyne or ethyne? The systematic name for this molecule is ethyne because it only has two carbons with a carbon-to-carbon triple bond between them. The systematic name for this molecule is ethyne because it has only two carbons with a carbon-to-carbon triple bond between them. The mass of oxygen burned can be converted to a number of moles by dividing by its molar mass, which is 20.0 grams of mole. Which is 20.0 grams or mole. Which is 20.0 grams or mole. Mole should be mole. Which is 20.0 grams or mole. This quantity of moles reacted in excess. This quantity of moles reacted in excess acetylene will burn and produce a carbon. And produce carbon dioxide on a 5-to-4 molar ratio, as indicated by the coefficients of each molecule in the above reaction equation. Divide the moles of oxygen burned by this molar ratio to find the moles of carbon dioxide produced. This is subsequently converted to a mass by multiplying its molar mass of 44.001 grams. This is subsequently converted to a mass by multiplying its molar mass of 44.01 grams or mole. If you want to be healthy, you shouldn't completely ignore your evolutionary craving for sugary foods. Rather, direct this craving towards eating moderate amounts of whole fruits while cutting back on candy, fruit juice, soda pop, and sugary baked goods. Now this thought process may lead you to ask, if eating too much sugar is unhealthy, shouldn't evolution eventually lead us to instinctively avoid eating too much sugar? The answer to this question is complicated. First of all, you are indeed right that humans are still evolving. However, genetic evolution is a very slow process that requires many generations. Humans have only been manufacturing sweets in abundance for a few hundred years, which may not yet be long enough for any kind of evolutionary change to be noticeable. Secondly, evolution is not a guiding hand that automatically forces organisms to want to do what is healthy. Secondly, evolution is not a guiding hand that automatically forces organisms to want to do what is healthy. Rather, evolution is simply a description of the process by which groups with certain genetic changes that enable them to better survive their particular environment tend to cause these changes to spread in succeeding generations. There are many factors that could affect a modern human's ability to survive. For this reason, it is hard to predict what direction human evolution will take in the future. With that said, since overconsumption of sugar can ultimately lead to an early death, it's certainly plausible that overconsumption of sugar will be naturally selected against in the coming millennia. This could lead to humans that innately no longer want to overindulge in sweets. There are a few ways humans could evolve to avoid overindulgence. For instance, the genes that produce a craving for sugar could simply disappear. Or the human body could develop a mechanism whereby eating too much sugar triggers a painful or uncomfortable sensation, similar to how breathing in some water similar to how breathing in some water triggers an unpleasant choking feeling that drives you to cough. Whatever form the mechanism takes, it is certainly possible that future humans will evolve such that they no longer have a desire to overindulge in sugar. We're just getting larger. That's all that's happening in it. Just getting bigger. More places to put it. It's Wuxia, I think this was.
We are looking at it correctly. The pronunciation is as Wuxia.
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 A bit more of emphasis on the Wuxia. Oh god. Oh god, I'm stuck. Oh god. Shit. Kid's crying upstairs. Oh, he's having a nice big fucking meltdown. More places to... The dirty little shite. I've got a lot of editing in front of me. Yes, I do have a fair amount of edit time. That's 2 hours there. 2 hours and 10 minutes. And today will likely be the same. We've got about an hour and 10 there. Hour and 5, so an hour. And then today, this session will probably be the same. Okay, I think it stopped. The shitey bastard. Okay. What inspired you to shift away from the traditional wuxia What inspired you to shift away from the traditional wuxia kind of short play, my friend? What kind of short play? My friend. Oh, I thought I fixed this. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to try sending you that, see if that's any more interesting. I'm going to start again because that was bloody terrible. What inspired you to shift away from the traditional wuxia kind of swordplay and switch to kung fu martial arts? When I was preparing for this film, I thought that I needed to find something that would differentiate it from the work of other directors who were working for Shaw's. And the main thing that I wanted to concentrate on was finding the middle point between traditional martial arts films and something modern. I would like to stress once again that even though it came out after Bruce Lee's arrival in Hong Kong, the filming process of this film actually started beforehand, and it wasn't really influenced by his style at all. I want to ask a very specific aspect of the film that I think is unusual in the films of the period, which is that you introduce the three Japanese samurai into the Chinese context. I wonder if you could talk about that, given that you are from Korea. Interview. Did I forget to mention the fourth dimension? Oh boy. There's something undeniably joyous about Harmony Korine's The Lotus Community Workshop. Is it Korine? Harmony Korine. Who is that?
Harmony Korine.
Korine.
Harmony Korine.
Harmony Korine. More of a rain than a rin. There's something undeniably joyous about Harmony Korine's The Lotus Community Workshop, the first section of the Weiss and Grolsch-Beer sponsored omnibus movie, The Fourth Dimension. Has a good name, Harmony Korine. Harmony Korine. It's eschewing, right? Eschewing. Eschewing.
Eschewing.
Eschewing. Eschewing a literal interpretation of the assigned theme, Korine instead touches, but does not dwell, upon some deep nerves of ugly, American, dubious, New Age self-help philosophy, unemployment, mindlessly violent video games, and auto-tune, and reveals himself to be a worthy inheritor of... The fuck are they doing? Shut up! I think the recording session's over. The kids started playing with marbles.
Vonnegut.
Vonnegut. Vonnegut. I'm guessing this is Bart. Pardon.
Bath.
If you say so. I'm not so sure about that one. And reveals himself to be a worthy inheritor of Vonnegut and Barth. Val Kilmer stars as a motivational speaker who holds a workshop in a skating rink, doling out ludicrous practical advice and inspirational moonshine for the benefit of his audience. Despite living in a mansion, he and his cornrowed and anger management dropout girlfriend... Despite living in a mansion, he and his cornrowed and anger management dropout girlfriend use bicycle motocrosses as their primary mode of transportation. Is this... What movie is that? Oh, you said it already. I never heard of it. Weiss and Grolsch-Beer. Film Comment recently sat down with Harmony Korine. Film Comment recently sat down with Harmony Korine, Val Kilmer, and producer Eddie Moretti for a brief chat during the Tribeca Film Festival, where The Fourth Dimension had its New York premiere. Indonesian director Edwin's 2008 feature Blind Pig, Who Wants to Fly? Indonesian director Edwin's 2008 feature Blind Pig Who Wants to Fly, which screened as part of the Museum of Modern Art's Contemporation series, was an episodic collection of hyper-vivid and sometimes surreal scenes touching on Chinese-Indonesian identity. Damn. Here it is. Stupid COVID. All right. Edwin's dreamlike new feature, Postcards from the Zoo, follows a young woman who stretch that mouth. Oh yeah, stretch it out. Get that stretch marks. Edwin's dreamlike new feature, Postcards from the Zoo, follows a young woman who lives and works in Jakarta's Ragunan Zoo as she befriends a mysterious cowboy and magician and ventures forth into the world. Film Comment spoke with the... Oh, man, it's still there. Film Comment spoke with the director while he was in New York for the film's North American premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival. What led you to zoos as a place or an idea? Jakarta is a big, crowded city, and there's not too many public spaces that give you some peaceful time. The zoo is one of those places. It's also a place to learn about the society. Ragunan is located in Jakarta, so most visitors are tourists coming to the zoo from outside the city. You'll see a lot of cultural differences there. I got lots of stories only by sitting in the zoo. I just wanted to explore what it feels like to be at the zoo, live at the zoo, and find a home-like place there. The zoo is full of passionate people who work there. They're underpaid, but they love the animals. This kind of energy interested me. I was talking to Paul Popplewell about a scene where he steps outside as the brutish owner of a ferocious dog. That provokes Joseph to commit an act of violence. I said, I can't find a way to make it other than make it. I can't find a way. I said, I can't find a way to make it other than just a guy coming out with his dog. I want to make it a little funnier than it feels. Just then, I saw out the corner of my eye this guy who's got a Staffordshire Bull Terrier strapped around his waist. I said to Paul, that's how you're walking your dog, mate. That's how you're walking your dog, mate. It's all part of the creative process. If you're open in that way, then these gifts will keep coming, but you don't get that on a studio set. I understand you're not particularly influenced by British realism. We had £750,000, and I didn't want to make what I call a little British film where you get a handheld camera and improvise it and make it all documentary looking. I've improvised in so many films and I don't want to do it anymore. It's a great old gift, but I think people get a bit lazy about that school. There is a school of performance that I adore. I like watching Anthony Hopkins in The Elephant Man. I love these characters in Tyrannosaur, and I love the actors playing them. To me, they're heroic, and I wanted to frame them that way. I wanted to make a movie. Pleasant noises. I like watching Anthony Hopkins in The Elephant Man. I love these characters in Tyrannosaur, and I love the actors playing them. To me, they're heroic, and I wanted to frame them that way. I wanted to make a movie, whatever that means. If anything, it was more Clint Eastwood than anything else. The simplicity of his films blows me away because it's beautiful. You can tell he just gets what he needs. Frame it simply, move the camera sometimes. That's nonsense. It's not. Even for Contagion, I was trying to push it as far into a genre. I was trying to push it as far into a genre film as I could. Okay, but I can't believe you won't get the bug again to do something difficult. That's true. Self-importance would be a better way to put it. Stuff that's conceived with an eye toward an all-categories trade advertisement at the end of the year. That's what I don't want to do anymore. But even with Magic Mike, when we started testing the movie, and by then Warner Brothers was involved, part of the conversation became that in the last third of the movie, things stopped being funny for a while. Anyone who has tested a movie in the past 5 years has discovered that all people want right now is happiness. They reject ambiguity or any kind of shadow side of anything. It's just got worse and worse. What people want when they go to the movie theaters has shifted a bit. I think there are a lot of reasons for it, but it's been weird for me because I've been losing a lot of arguments. Not in the practical sense, because I've still got things the way I want them, but I've seen instances where the argument that is presented to me about why people don't like the film more often turns out to be true. All the things I've argued that make the film distinctive turn out to be a barrier for the audience. In that sense, people making the argument turn out to be right. When we asked people about what they didn't score Contagion higher. When we asked people why they didn't score Contagion higher, they said, we didn't like Jude Law. We didn't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy, and they felt it was the filmmaker's fault for not making that clear to them. Bloody loved that film. Oh, shit, last one. All right. I don't know why it felt like this was just never going to end, but actually almost done. I always sound more upbeat when I know it's about to finish. I got to work on that. Chelsea was in my soul class last week, too. By the way, Julie, I'm one of your new fans. I did this yesterday, too. Chelsea was in my soul class last week, too. By the way, Julie, I'm one of your new fans. I learned a lot from your session at the fitness magazine Meet and Tweet. That would make my day. Okay, week to see a celebrity. So jealous. I normally go to this class on Wednesdays because that is my favorite instructor. I'm so sad I missed you. I've been dying to try SoulCycle. I have a free pass to the one on Sunset Boulevard near my apartment in West Hollywood, California. I need to get over there. I met Chelsea Clinton in February 2008 at Texas Christian University. I was a junior in high school there for a conference, and she was there campaigning for her mom for the presidency. I was able to get a picture with her before she left. Definitely my highlight of that year. SoulCycle is definitely a one-of-a-kind experience. I'm not much for stationary cycling. I run outdoors all year round and like to ride a bike on a bike path, though. But the few times I've gone, it's been an intense workout. It's a little too competitive for my taste, though. There are other girls in NYC who log on every Monday to book their bikes, and it's a race just to sign up. But what does it mean, Richard? I don't understand. Mean? Ruin, I suppose. Mean? Ruin, I suppose. In all probability, I am a ruin, I suppose. In all probability, I am a ruined man. And dropping heavily on a chair, Monty buried his face with his hands. Ruin? But how? Why? Oh, dear. Can't you speak? No, Richard, what is this? Oh, dear, can't you speak? Oh, no, Richard, what are you thinking of? Remember the child. Under his hands, tears were dripping on the table. Under his hands, tears were dropping on the table. Dripping. Gotta keep it casual. I gotta keep dropping into narration mode. Under his hands, tears were dripping on the table. Go to find Anne, Cuffy. She shall take you out or give you your tea. Run away, dear, quickly. God, Hannah wants to meet you. Now, Richard, pull yourself together. It's no good breaking down. What has happened? What do you intend to do? This has just come for you, sir. I was about to send it on your hotel. But he had hardly dozed off when they were roused by Cuffy starting up in his sleep, screaming, No, don't hit him. Oh, doggy. Till now, Mary had kept up, indeed, not a moment to think of herself. So busy. Something on my knee. Get off. What is that? So busy had she been consoling, supporting, encouraging. But now that everything was over and she sat alone in the hotel bedroom, all she had gone through, all the conflicting emotions of those 2 past days, not the least of which were self-reproaches, every whit as better as Richard's own, took toll of her. Not the very least of which were self-reproaches, every whit as bitter as Richard's own, took toll of her. Behind locked doors, she broke down and wept bitterly. Bugman is located approximately 108 miles from Ashdown. They're one of the best on the market. Need to give Bugman a call? 501-315-3117. Bark Place Hotel is located approximately 82 miles from Ashdown. We recommend their services. You can call them at 318-658-9918. Diversified Professional SVC is located approximately 74 miles from Ashdown. If you want to pay them a visit, go to 214 Hidden Valley Road. Their phone number is 501-844-6211. Pardon me. East Texas Animal Rescue Fund is located approximately 121 miles from Ashdown. If you want to pay them a visit, go to 13220 County Road, 1113. If you want to pay them a visit, go to 13220 County Road, 1113. What kind of fucking address is that? Does that make any sense? Giant Number Road, Giant Number. You can reach them at 903-534-1913. You can reach them at 903-534-1913. For the Sake of Animals is located approximately 59 miles from Ashdown. They're one of the best on the market. Phone number 479-394-1039. Human Society of the Quachita. Quachita? I'm losing it, man. I'm going crazy. I am going crazy. Quachita? Is that a 0, an O, or a Q? It's got a Q here.
Quachita. Quachita.
Yeah. Well, she's saying it with a SH instead of a CH. Where was I? I have lost my way. Human Society of the Quachita is located approximately 62 miles from Ashdown. They are a nice animal shelter. Phone number 479. They are a nice animal shelter. Phone number 479-394-5682. Wonder if these are all real. I suppose only two models, the 75 and MGF. I suppose only two models, the 75 and MGF, could have been stretched a little longer with a drastically reduced workforce. Could have been stretched a little longer with a drastically reduced workforce post-2005. We are where we are, and I suppose it's nice to see. We are where we are, and I suppose it's nice to still see immaculate examples of Rovers and MGs from the last 5 years of MG Rover's life still on the road today. My God, they're being so fucking noisy. We are where we are, and I suppose it's nice. We are where we are, and I suppose it's nice to still see immaculate examples of Rovers and MGs from the last 5 years of MG Rover's life still on the road today. Not sure the outcome would have been better. It was either close the company in 2000. It was either close the company in 2000 or carry on until 2005 as it was. It was either close the company in 2000 or carry on until 2005 as it was. The real tragedy were all those who lost their pensions. They did try though, didn't they? They were very close to a deal with China Brilliance very early on. I think that they saw China was the future, just as Korea and Japan were before that. I think they saw that China was the future, just as Korea and Japan were before that. Fiat have seen that there is little profit to be made selling cheap cars built in Western Europe. The mini-aping 500, itself still effectively a Mark 1 facelift when we were on the Mark 3 route. It's supposed to be aping, mini-aping. What is that? The mini-aping 500, itself still effectively a Mark 1 facelift when we were on the Mark 3 Mini, is a success. It is built in Eastern Europe. The Tipo Mom and Dad would know what all these are. Or is it Fiat?
Fiat Tipo. Fiat Tipo. Fiat Tipo.
Tipo. I don't think it's right, but...
Tipo. Tipo.
Okay.
Tipo.
It is built in Eastern Europe. The Tipo is brought in from Turkey, and the 124 from Japan, as they saw... And the 124 from Japan, as they saw the benefit of the platform sharing for nation... Doesn't make any sense. The Tipo is brought in from Turkey, and the 124 from Japan, as they saw the benefit of platform sharing for a niche product, rather than spending a fortune building one from scratch. Starting later in the week, you'll get to hear about Chris Hart's restaurant past, Tremont 647. His competition present, and, are you ready for this, his restaurant future. I hope you enjoy reading this interview half as much as I did hearing it firsthand. For the second year in a row, IQ took Grand Championship honors at the Hudson Valley Rib Fest in New Paltz. For the second year in a row, IQ took Grand Championship honors at the Hudson Valley Rib Fest in New Paltz, NY. Adding to their hardware were first-place trophies for both pork and brisket, which is impressive in a contest of any size, but for a 53-team contest, that's a tremendous feat. A sixth-place finish in chicken and a 14th place showing in ribs sealed the win. Last week, I talked about how many visits should go into a review and how that number varies depending on who's doing the review, blogger versus major media outlet. Blogger versus major media outlet, and the importance of the joint, Wildwood or Dinosaur versus Smoking Slows. I started thinking about the various joints I've only visited only once, and came up with this list of favorites. As you might expect, there are a lot of New York joints here, primarily because of the distance from where I live. If they were closer, I'd have already made a return list. If they were closer, I'd have already made a return visit. We still just can't trust earnings, despite all the talk about reform. So here are some tips about other ways to gauge stocks. But let's be blunt, profits may very well rise next year, but it won't simply be a normal business recovery. The process of boosting earnings is going to be far more difficult than most people expect, and it is going to entail far more pain for workers. Under mounting pressure from investors and corporate boards to get their earnings up, without accounting tricks, executives are going to have to make deep cuts in payrolls and productive capacity. A lost generation of job seekers? Mouth's getting tired. It's weird. I don't get this problem with native Aussie stuff. Only after American long sessions. Americans use way more muscles in their mouth and tongue. I'm going to have a shower, and then I'm going to start the car and drive. Gonna have a shower, dry myself with a towel, start the car and drive. All right. A lost generation of job seekers? The young and those in mid-career are bearing the brunt of layoffs, and new jobs are harder to find as older workers delay retirement. 6 months later, the scam has widened considerably, and it now appears to be among the most successful internet cons ever. By taking advantage of net auction winners' inherent trust... Pardon me. Oh, pardon me. By taking advantage of net auction winners, bus, get out of here, big smelly loud bus. By taking advantage of net auction winners' inherent trust of escrow sites. It's escrow, right? Escrow. Yeah, it's escrow. By taking advantage of net auction winners' inherent trust of escrow sites, nearly done. Come on, you can do it. The con artists are stealing as much as $40,000 at a time from big-ticket auction winners. Their total take may well reach into millions of dollars so far, and while federal authorities, including the Department of Commerce and FBI, are investigating, there seems to be no way to slow down the con artists. Remember those high-flying stocks sold for the first time in the 1990s? The ones that soared from $20 a share to $100 a share in hours? The ones that soared from $20 a share to $100 a share in hours? Some insiders now say the great price leaps for these initial public offerings, IPOs, were the result of insider agreements designed to force prices artificially high. The scam is called laddering. We find a management theory that makes getting fired look pretty good. The Economist pundit wanted to find a way to describe the workings of the bank. The Economist pundit wanted to find a way to describe the workings of the Bank of Canada in terms that everyone could understand and enjoy talking about at Christmas parties, which could possibly be the basis of a handsome book that would be bought by middle-aged people desperate for something to give their elderly uncles When this risk analysis is combined with the Department of Energy's conclusion that Kyoto would reduce GDP $397 billion, it's supposed to be $1 billion, you fuckwits. Better change that, otherwise I'm just going to read it again. When this risk analysis is combined with the Department of Energy's conclusion that Kyoto would receive GDP $397 billion by 2010, the results are startling. Based on Lutter and Morale's findings, adjusted for inflation, Kyoto would result in 32,000 to 42,000 additional deaths per year by 2010. This one's jumping all over the place. I don't know what it's talking about. Context helps so much when reading, and I just don't know what the context is. Unfortunately, because these deaths would be seemingly random, linking individual deaths to Kyoto could prove extremely difficult. Thus, while morally unacceptable, these deaths won't be politically damaging. And then, if you have kids, they all get sent back to her. And then, if you have kids, they all get sent back here to Mars. All right, so I was heading over to my friend Erin's house because she had claimed to have found a way to combine. That's not fair. That's not fair. Yectophantraplatonic canciptonium. That's not fair. All right. All right, so I was heading over to my friend Erin's house because she had claimed to have found a way to combine yectophantraplatonic zanziptonium with, there's another one. With Trantochizoplic without creating smoke. No way, I had said, but she pressed on. Soon I arrived at her house, knocked on the door, stepped inside. She was waiting at the top of the stairwell. Quick, let's get downstairs. And she started down the stairs. One flight later, we're in the middle of a science lab. Come see, she said. Excitedly, she poured a green liquid into a beaker, followed by a light blue cube, and guess what? No smoke. How did you do that? I shouted. Well, I think I should go now. My counselor is probably setting up a funeral for me right now, I said. All right, bye, she replied. As soon as I was home, I went straight to the cool box for some food. I found a slice of raspberry cheesecake and went to the couch with it. I started to think about my parents. Why were they sent away? How old were mine? How long had they known me? How come I didn't have a picture of them? That was just straight up strange. All the wonderful conveniences of our society have removed us from the intensive processes and resources required to produce everything we consume. We live with a mindset of consume now, food, clothing, electronics, etc. And whatever is excess is thrown away. Oh no. The bird. I'm on the last prompt, birdie bird. Can you shut up? Stupid beak face. Oh my God, I'm so close. My God, that is so loud. I should time how long they go for. Oh my God, that just echoes around. That's crazy. The echo is like 2 seconds long. It's like, Okay, all right. The majority of us don't even think twice when we throw things away. However, I do believe there have been efforts to bring awareness to consumption waste and energy management. I want to further that effort and help to be a part of the solution. I find myself thinking daily about how I can do better. Where can I be more efficient with the energy I'm using? I like to drive fast. Don't tell my husband. Did you know that the power required to overcome aerodynamic drag by a vehicle is proportional to velocity cubed, V3? Translation, fuel economy drops significantly at higher... I'm going to go back to that. It's really interesting. Did you know that the power required to overcome aerodynamic drag by a vehicle is proportional to velocity cubed, V3? Translation, fuel economy drops significantly at higher speeds. Yes, let's build a bridge together, and the first step is a site survey. Take a look around your home. How many refrigerators, freezers are currently in use? Do you have refrigerated A or C, or do you have refrigerated A or C or a swamp cooler? How many computers are plugged in? Dishwasher, washer, dryer? What type of vehicle do you drive? What types of light bulbs are installed? What type of light bulbs are installed? You get the idea. Yay for running! I bet it felt amazing, even though it's not your normal. Yay for running! Yay for running! I bet it felt amazing, even though it's not your normal awesome pace. You will get there with no doubt, step by step. Yay for running! I actually haven't gone on a run without the jogging stroller yet. I cried happy tears the first time too. I've been on 4 runs now, and I still feel really slow. Bother me. I actually haven't gone on a run without the jogging stroller yet. I actually haven't gone on a run without the jogging stroller yet. I cried happy tears the first time too. I've been on 4 runs now, and I still feel really slow, but we're starting over, and I have faith we'll both end up being stronger and faster runners. Congrats on your first run back. I remember my first run back as well, and it was frustrating on how much conditioning I lost, but also so wonderful to just be back running. Others have commented on this, but for me, I came back stronger and faster post-baby. In fact, I'm the fastest I've ever been and getting some incredible PRs. It will all come back. That is great for a first run. I was unable to run after 4 months pregnancy, so only 96 days of a running break, so you're sure to bounce back ASAP. I was unable to run after 4 months pregnancy, so only 96 days of a running break, you're sure to bounce back ASAP. I was so nervous about resuming running too. After a 6-month break, but it was so much better than I thought. Just wait until your little running buddy can join you. Fatigued. Last prompt. Then I'm done for the day. Me. What happens? Oh my god, the fucking bird. About 4:30. Oh my god. It's like aggressively loud. I don't want to turn up the volume for you to hear it because I can't change the volume level for all these recordings. Okay. Me. What happens when you print? EA. Nothing happens. That's why I'm calling you. Me. Do you see any messages appear on the screen when trying to print? Me. Is your printer turned on? Can you see any... Oh my god, the fucking bird. I'm so close. Look how much I got left. That's it. I stink. I need a shower. Just kidding. Little wafts every time I move my body. Me. What happens when you print? EA. Nothing happens. That's why I'm calling you. Me. Do you see any messages appear on the screen when trying to print? Me. Is your printer turned on? Can you see any lights? Me. Can you talk to me what you generally do to print something? Me. What would you usually do to print? Me. Okay, sir, I'd like to connect remotely to your computer so I can see what's on the screen. Is that okay? EA. This is very complicated. I'm not sure what you want to do. EA. I'm sorry, can you explain that more clearly? EA. Look, this is terribly unfriendly for people who aren't technically savvy like myself. Why can't you fix this? Me. I'm trying to help. However, it's out of hours and our scope is limited. I need to remotely connect to see what's going on. I respect that you're not technically savvy, but at the same time, we do a certain level of existing knowledge. We do a certain level of existing knowledge from users in order to be... I respect that you're not technically savvy, but at the same time, we do a certain level of existing knowledge from users in order to be able to provide our support service after hours. Can I ask that the main service desk calls you back in the morning if you'd prefer? Not gonna lie, I'm glad that that's done. I can go back to my regular daily load. It's almost bang on an hour and 10 minutes again. So 2 hours and 20 minutes of audio. No, it's a lot more than that. But anyway, I can knock that over in probably a day of editing. Let's see if this little outro is going to work. Probably not. All right, guys. Well, oh, I see what's happening here. I just started Steam. I need to get out of this apartment. I'll stream the next time there's something interesting. That was not interesting. That was not for your benefit. That was for me. That was for you to chat to me and keep me company. But, yeah. Next time there's something interesting, I'll be sure to do this again. Toodle pip.